Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed, lab-proven to work fast, and proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Welcome to the Mid Week Tease with me, Adele Onyango, where I share some random and not too random thoughts on things. And in this episode, let's talk about something that we experienced in childhood that is still a passenger with us in adulthood. I'm laughing, but it's actually like, hey, it's too much stress, right? So I've been sitting with a question for the last couple of weeks as I try and navigate understanding whether a relationship in my personal life is healthy or needs to go. And the question is, why do some relationships feel like home even when they hurt us? Like, why do we cling so tightly to people who remind us of like the very wounds we've been trying to escape? And so in this episode, I want to unpack how childhood trauma shapes the way we love, the way we trust, and the bonds we form, even the ones that break us. On a personal note, before I dig deep into what my research has shown me, I find that I seem to be more comfortable in relationships where I am having to overperform to have my emotional needs met. Does that make sense? So almost like I will naturally pick somebody who's emotionally unavailable and I have to go back inside in my head and be like, whoa. Hold up. Like that's normal because of your childhood experiences, but it's not healthy and you don't need to be doing that anymore, you know? I also find that the overperforming just kind of merged with my people pleasing. And it takes me a while to catch myself and be like, oh my God, I'm doing this thing again. And it's directly linked to my childhood daddy issues where they are something. So I want us to look at our childhood as being the first classroom, right? Where we learn how to love and how to be loved, right? And so if in your childhood love was conditional, we may grow up chasing validation or constantly trying to earn love. Ooh, okay, I'm shouting. I'm even shouting for myself. Constantly trying to earn love, that part, you know? And so if trust was broken earlier on in your life, you may find that you enter adulthood with the assumption that people will leave. And so at this point of the episode, I want you to pause and just reflect on this. What lessons did your childhood silently teach you about love, about trust, and about safety? What are those things? And if you feel comfortable sharing, you can drop your answers to that question in the comment section wherever you're listening to this on. I see this term thrown around like trauma bonding, but I think we can look at it as when your nervous system confuses intensity for intimacy. Have you ever been in that situation? Have you ever been in that situation? Like things are so hot that you don't even realize this hotness is not healthy, right? You might think this is love on fire. This is intimacy. You might feel magnetically tied to someone who hurts you, and you don't recognize how unhealthy this situation is. And I'll tell you why, because I've seen this with people who are close to me in my life. And I actually saw it with myself until I had to call myself on AGM and be like, babes, we're not going to be moving like this anymore. Chaos can feel very familiar and it can even feel safe. So in your childhood, let me take mine for example. So I grew up for some time in a home where my dad was physically abusive to my mom. He had an alcohol problem, etc. Being in that environment made me hypervigilant, made me put together a toolbox or a toolkit to know how to either try and detect when my dad was going to move from being happy drunk to being physical drunk, right? Violent drunk, to try and see what's within my control. Imagine as a child, what are the things in my toolbox or my toolkit that I can pull out that will keep my dad entertained and happy so that we avoid the violent drunk? That toolkit I carried with me everywhere, even into adulthood. And because that toolkit represented safety, I felt more comfortable in chaos because I had trained all my childhood on how to maneuver it. But when you bring me peace, when you bring me ease, when you bring me love in its purest form, I would feel destabilized because I don't have a toolkit for that one. In fact, there's a quote that talks about healing. I'm going to paraphrase it, but what it says is that you don't heal so that you can handle your dark days. You heal so that you know how to handle the lights. Because sometimes the chaos, you keep repeating that pattern because in childhood, that was your familiar, that was your safety. And so you'll even sometimes call this chaos passion, right? And you'll call people who are healthier or more securely attached, you'll call them boring. Because this toolkit of yours and this years of experience is what you think is safe. I have another question for you that I want you to ask yourself. You can journal about it, you can drop it in the comments. Can you recall a time when you confused chaos or inconsistency for love? How did that play out? Now, not every deep connection is a trauma bond, right? And I feel like sometimes it's so difficult to even figure it out at the beginning. And that's what I'm currently doing with this particular relationship, that I'm trying to be like, it was safe. This was a safe space for me for a very long time. It's a very healthy space for me for a very long time. But then and if you're on a journey of healing, you'll know this. There's a level of enlightenment that you get to, that then you look at things that you thought were healthy and you're like, oh my goodness, this shouldn't be in my life. You know what I mean? So how do you tell the difference? I feel like an unhealthy situation thrives in secrecy, in fear, in shame, and you even almost feel it inside. You feel this is not safe for me. It's almost is like your nervous system sends you little pangs. At least for me, that's what happens. And I'm like, something is off here. Even before I have thought about it and processed it in my mind. I think a healthy space really thrives in honesty, in respect, in empathy, and in compassion. So an unhealthy space will ask you to shrink yourself to keep the peace. And a healthy one will just ask you to show up fully, flaws and all. And so at this point, my third question to you is to think about one bond currently in your life. Does it leave you feeling smaller or safer? You can journal about that. Back to our childhood. So when betrayal happens in childhood, it's so difficult to trust in adulthood. It feels like you're walking on glass. And I really actually think I really struggled to trust because of different experiences I went through in my childhood. I find that like my nervous system gets stuck on high alert. It's looking for a sign to show me that, you need to duck. this person is about to pull a first one on you. Get out of here quick, But I have to credit myself for the work that I'm doing with my therapist in just relearning to trust, right? And understanding that trust doesn't happen in one big leap. It's like a series of many small experiments, So setting a boundary and then you see it's been respected, or you're allowing someone to show consistency over time. You're giving them grace and you're giving them a prolonged time period. You're not just judging them off of 10 seconds, I think another small experiment is like looking inward and self-soothing when you feel triggered, instead of shutting down or lashing out or even abandoning yourself. Like, just go inside. Immediately you feel triggered, go back inside and be like, where is this coming from? And once you figure out that, oh, it's cause of that thing that happened to me in my childhood, self-soothe and remind yourself that you're in a safe place and you're choosing healthier paths, so that toolkit that you built up in childhood, you no longer need it. Just soothe yourself out of it. And then you have to break the cycle, isn't it? Because honestly, unhealed trauma from our childhood, it doesn't just live in us. Like, it's not just localized to inside us. It spills into like how we parent, how we are with our partners, how we are with our friends. And without noticing it, you could actually pass on your wounds to the next generation. I mean, when we talk about mother wounds, these are passed down across generations. So healing doesn't only free you, it frees the people besides and coming after you. It's pressing a pause button. It's rewriting the script. It's saying we're going to choose differently. It's stopping the cycle. My question here to you is, what's one inherited pattern that you refuse to pass on? For me, I haven't answered any of the other questions. Let me answer this one. For me, it has to be self-betrayal at the altar of relationships, right? With men, intimate relationships with men. That's what I mean. Like, I think for the longest time, I've seen women in my lineage forget who they are, forget their dreams, forget even that their emotions matter, all in the name of preserving a relationship with a man. That is not a pattern I want to pass on or continue. It's not something I want for myself. And I don't have kids of my own, but I always think I have 2 nieces. I always want them to have an example of a woman who intentionally broke free from childhood trauma and decided to live a big life, no matter how uncomfortable healing got, no matter how scared she was. I want them to have that example, and then I want that freedom for me. You know what I mean? But let's get back to love. What does love without trauma feel like? I've experienced this. I'm so glad I have. And honestly, I don't think I would have without therapy. It feels like ease. There are parts of it that feel uncomfortable because it may demand that you face yourself, but it feels like ease. It feels like joy without dread. You're not happy, but also thinking at the back of your mind, like, okay, when is this going to, when's the other shoe going to drop? It feels like safety without any strings attached. And I genuinely think we all deserve that. You deserve that. And I want to share with you one of my favorite affirmations. I am worthy of love that doesn't ask me to bleed to prove it. You have your homework lined up for you from this episode. There's a couple of questions that you need to sit with. If you love journaling, I would say pick one of the questions I've shared with you every day and journal your answer to it. If you feel moved to, drop your answer in the comment section. But please don't let this episode go without you answering those questions. So many of us adults are carrying so much brokenness and are living such limited, small, uncomfortable, painful lives because we are still carrying hurt from our childhood. And one of the things I want us here at Legally Clueless to do for you is to ensure that we help you break free from that. Honestly, you deserve to live a big life. I hope I don't get emotional, but like, you deserve to live a big life. You deserve freedom from your trauma. And you deserve to stop that cycle. And the only way you're going to stop it is by healing yourself, right? I feel so deeply about this topic, but if today's episode truly resonated with you, I want you to know this. You don't have to walk through this healing alone. I know it can be scary to do it alone. You don't have to. We have our final 3-part group therapy of 2025 coming up. Okay, we're doing this in partnership with Shamiri Health. We'll have 3 accredited psychologists who will guide us through deep conversations on the theme childhood trauma. Some of the issues that we're going to tackle together is how trauma manifests and how to recognize it, because I think we really battle with that. Like, is this that trauma thing? Oh, what is it I'm dealing with here? We're also going to look at signs of childhood trauma we often miss. We're going to look at common trauma responses and how to manage them. Let me tell you, I see this in so many adults, even in myself. Someone reacts or I react and I can tell, Adele, this is a trauma response. And I can even thread it to what happened to me in childhood and why I'm reacting like this at my big age of 36. Another issue we're going to tackle is how trauma shapes our relationships and bonds. We're going to talk about inner child dialogue, reconnecting and healing that inner child. We're also going to talk about building self-compassion in the aftermath of pain. These are some heavy topics, but let me tell you, the freedom that awaits you after we've gone through these 3 group therapy sessions. I really want that for you. So the 3 dates that our group therapy is going to be happening is on the 11th of October, the 8th of November, and the 6th of December. Tickets are $4,500, Bob, and that covers all 3 sessions, plus the snacks that will come in the sessions, plus any of the resources that we'll share with you during the session. So it's quite a steal. And since it's group therapy, we have very limited tickets. But you can get your ticket right now through the link in our show notes. Go to our website, legallycluelessafrica.com, or just go directly to Hustle Sasa. Remember, this is the last group therapy of the year, and I'd really love for you to be part of it. And not only that, if there is someone in your life who you feel either you want to go through this healing journey with them, or you want to make them aware of this opportunity because you love them so much, share the opportunity with them. Either share this episode or share a link to our group therapy tickets page. It was so touching. Our last cohort that we did, I think from March, April and May, it was so touching to see some women came with their best friends, and I just thought this is so wonderful. Our last wellness talk, we had a couple come, guy and girl, who wanted to strengthen their relationship. Our last group therapy, we also had a couple come in, and yeah, so you don't have to do it only alone. If there's someone you love and you're like, oh, we need to do this together, share this with them. And as I always say, I don't know if I say it in this show, but I always say it on our Monday show, I truly appreciate you. I really do. And I believe that you have every single thing it takes to heal. Thanks for listening to the Mid Week Tease, a Legally Clueless Africa production. Episodes go out every Wednesday, and you can learn more about us by going to legallycluelessafrica.com.